Welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in to another video here. So today we're looking at Ethereum and obviously my predictions from yesterday. As I said yesterday when we looked at Ethereum, we were probably at its lowest. Sorry, I feel a sneeze coming on. But then today, we're back up. We're back up to where we were at peak last week, I'd like to say. So let's have a quick look at Ethereum. And just before I sort of do that as well, I do want to sort of say, hey, look, if you haven't had the opportunity, or if you did buy when we were at the low point of yesterday, which was if we're looking 1 week average, so yesterday we were down here, so around about 4261. You would have bought it around about 4150, 4160, I'd say. And if you bought yesterday when I said, hey, look, this is the time to buy, you probably would be sitting at a gain of around about I think 41246, around about $400. So you would be up $400 from yesterday to today, which is quite a substantial amount of money actually, considering the market, and depending on how much Ethereum that you own, you would have made quite a big buck. Now personally, I made a mistake where I didn't actually buy this low here. I actually bought quite high up here, and what that did is came back to bite me in the butt. So we still haven't reached the high highs or the highs that I wanted to, per se. As you can see, the market's currently dropping. I may consider selling some of my Ethereum because I know I bought them a little bit lower than what it was, or what it is currently. So I still would make some profit, but it wouldn't be substantial enough. And I think holding here, because if we break past this point, then we could potentially see it rise even higher. So the current sort of market is being tested here, so actually let's have a quick look at what I sort of hold and obviously what the prices are that I'm looking to potentially sell at. So we come down all the way here. Currently, we'll have a quick look at the buy and sell prices right now. So the buy prices right now is 4517, and the sell prices are 4492. That doesn't make sense. Okay, no, it does make sense. All right, there we go. So people are selling their Ethereum at around about 4517, which is lowest over 4,500 currently, and people are looking to buy just close to that figure. Now I bought around about 4474, so if I were to sell at any point in time currently, I would still be making a net profit, but the amount would be quite minuscule in the sense I'll probably be getting $5, depending on how much Ethereum I sell. If I sell my entire stock, I'll probably make $20, but to me that isn't worthwhile, so I'm just gonna hold anyway unless if I look into the research and see, hey, look, the trend is going to be a downhill trend. We are going to buffer around this point over the next couple of days as well, from what I sort of briefly saw. So we're going to be in an up down sort of battle. So you can actually technically make, if you do a couple of trades, each trade if it is around about the $20-30 mark, then hey, look, they all add up, and if you do around about 5 to 6 trades, $20 each, then yeah, you made another $180, and that's what the market is, and that's what people do on the market itself. So if you're one of those, then feel free to do so. But again, let's have a look at what I've got set up. So for myself, the limits or the amounts that I'm selling at around about 4580 at the lowest. This would potentially put me at around about, I think, if I'm correct, basically a minimum growth of around about 100 for this, and based on it's only a quarter of that, so we're looking at around about $20 to $25 gain per single transaction here. Similarly, as this goes up, it'll be 25, and then maybe even, yeah, it'll be higher than 25 for sure. And then as the prices go up, it'll become 30, 40. So in total, if we do hit the max mark here, I would have probably walked away with I think at least $100 to $200 per this growth, and then I'll just wait for when the market to drop and then buy. So, and potentially even do some swing trades or smaller trades in between, but I am going to be a little bit smart about my sort of trades and a little bit patient about my trades going forward. I may not opt to do day trades and see how that goes for me. As a trader or as a new trader, you need to understand what you're trying to do, right? So if you're trying to maximize your potential capital or potential portfolio value, so obviously in that case, or you maximize your money, regardless of what you hold on your portfolio, then you should be doing day trades, basically increasing the value of the money that you put in, right? So say for example, if we're looking at myself, if I were to be doing day trades, then I need to be maximizing this particular value here. So, and if this value grows, I shouldn't be concerned with how much Ethereum that I actually own, right? That shouldn't be the key factor here. But the flip side to that is you are concerned with how much Ethereum that you own, right? So there's two ways to do it. So if you're concerned about how much Ethereum that you own, then I would suggest doing the safe long sort of up and down trend sort of trade. So you're not really day trading, you're trading more like a week trade, where you're basically buying it low, waiting it for it to get high, and then when it reaches the peak, selling it off, and then waiting for it to go back to low again, and then buying. So that way you maximize the amount of Ethereum that you own, and it's a longer process, so it's a week-long process. But do know that there's a difference between those two. So one's maximizing your the amount of money that you put in, and two is maximizing the amount of Ethereum that you own. Both are not mutually exclusive. They do have a similar sort of trend where you're basically buying low and selling high, but it's all about how much Ethereum that you own for one, and the other is just how much money that you actually have that you can sort of potentially take out, and you're taking money out of the market quite regularly as well. But yeah, so let's look at the trend first, because I think you're all dying to sort of know yesterday's trend. And what I actually ended up doing is put it on today, and we'll do 1 minute average. I use this website, which is goldprice.org, and it has a crypto price sort of segment which shows Ethereum. The cool thing about that is it tells you where the market's sitting at. So a day ago it was on the buy heavy, 4 hours ago it was on the strong buy, an hour ago people were still buying, but there were some people selling because obviously it was hitting peaks. 30 minutes ago people were still buying, but obviously high on the sell point. 15 minutes ago people were still buying, so the price was increasing. And usually when people are buying, price tends to go up. 5 minutes ago still the same, and then a minute ago some people are selling, right, because obviously it's climbed up a bit. And the other thing as well is, in order to be up to date with what's sort of going on, I tend to click on the 5 and then click on the 1, and then it sort of shows me what the exact updated sort of segment is. So as you can sort of see, it went up to 4 people selling. That's probably because the price has gone back up again. So people will probably, so over here we'll probably be doing an up-down trend over the next couple of days. That's my at least prediction. But let's actually have a look at the market and see what we could sort of predict, per se. And the best thing I did was yesterday when I was looking at the market, I knew this was going to be all the way back up at the very least. Sorry guys, I don't know why my nose is getting runny or itchy, but yeah, so I went back. So we're and obviously I am in Sydney, Australia, so I'm on the 20th of the 8th, around about 11 a.m. right now. So I am a little bit ahead of this time, but I'm going to try and work off of this particular time charts here and sort of predict from there. So after the 19th, so we're going to go back and look at what it was 1 week ago, and then potentially what it was 2 weeks ago. So at the 19th, it would have been the 12th and then the 5th. So we're going to go all the way back to the 12th and so the 12th and then eventually the 5th, and we're going to look to see on the If it is the 12th, then it would be the 11th, where we're going to see a downhill trend and then a bit of this. And then after, I think, midway point, or after the 19th, or after the 12th, in this case, a week ago, we'll see a heavy sort of uphill sort of trend. So let's see if we can see the exact same trend happening. And I'll record the numbers as well, which is 2960 and peaking at around about 3240. What I might actually just do is snip this particular picture here, so we do have a copy of it with us, and I'm going to put it to one side here. Sorry, I think my screen's blocking it, but I'll put it to one side here. Oh, I don't like it. And I will go back on this one here. So what I do is I click on the 5-day average, and then I just drag, and it moves the chart along for me. So we're going to go all the way back to the 12th and the 11th, which is right about here. And long and behold, so we're going to look at the previous chart and sort of compare if the trend is regular or not, or it's repeating. So if we go back to this one here, so on the 18th we were at the lowest point, or just before the 18th we were at the lowest point here. But if we look at last week, I believe it was actually after the 12th. So comparing last week's data and the market trend, or how the market sort of responded, the lowest point would have had to have been here. And this is where I went wrong as well. So I actually, basically I saw this drop here, and then I bought here. And then, actually no, I bought somewhere here. So I saw this drop, and then it kind of just did like an up and down motion, and then it started climbing, and then it dropped a little bit. And then when it started climbing back up again, I thought to myself, hey, look, maybe the market's not going to repeat. And this is where I shot myself in the foot, because I thought the market wasn't going to repeat. I was getting close to the 12 o'clock mark, and I knew for a fact on the 18th, that just before the 18th the price was going to drop. But because we were like close to 12 and the price was going up, I thought maybe this particular drop that I experienced beforehand was as low as it was going to go. So me deciding that, hey, look, I'm smart and I predicted the market here, I bought here, and long and behold, it did start to climb, and it went all the way up here. And I was like, okay, maybe it's plateauing, because there was a level of resistance here, and then it dropped all the way down here. But so obviously I shot myself in the foot there, and I couldn't buy on the low here, because all my holdings were all the way up here. But what I wanted to sort of emphasize is, hey, look, after the 18th, or after the 18th, we obviously saw like a massive drop until this bottom peak. And that's also kind of similar to what we saw here, right? It dropped after the 12th. It's kind of, so the easiest way to describe this is last week, the market, and what the market did last week and what it's doing this week is almost identical. And essentially, you can use the data from last week to potentially predict what the market's going to do this week. So obviously we had the low peak here, they had the low peak here, and then obviously it did sort of like a climb and then a decrease after the 12th, in which case equivalent to that would be the 18th, which is this week's. And then if you look at this data here, it climbed all the way up and then it went all the way back down. So technically it mimicked the same path. Timing wise, you can also see it's between the 12th and the 13th. Similarly for this particular chart here, it is between the 18th and the 19th, but obviously it's shifted a little bit forward. So that's another thing as well. So you can't really trust the timing or the days. They might be a day late or a day early, or maybe half a day early or half a day late, because of certain reasons, but the trend will follow itself, like it will repeat. And then after the 13th, or just before the 13th, it started to climb, right? But what happened here was it didn't climb until And this is where most people would probably have shot themselves in the foot, because they would have thought, hey, look, the trend is coming back here, right? And it's going to start climbing now. And if they hadn't bought here, they would have gone, okay, let's buy here, buy here, buy here. And then the market would have dropped again, and they were like, oh no, what's happening? Yeah, so the market didn't actually come exactly the way it did last week, but the trend is similarly still the same. So up and down, and then eventually it started to climb. And when it was climbing, so we'll go back to this chart here, we had from the likes of 2980 all the way up to the first resistance on the following day. So we're going to look at the 19th till the 20th here, because I don't want to go past that date. So 19th to the 20th, we're going to see an uphill trend, and then we're going to have a little bit of this, and then we're going to have a jump, another climb. So if you are someone that's currently, because we are at this point here, there is going to be a point that will come up that way you're able to buy again for a small sort of swing trade, and then hold it up until we reach this point here. How quickly that comes, I'm not entirely too sure, but let's have a look and see if we can predict it. So we're going all the way up here, and what I might just do is take a new picture as well. So we're going to try and predict this new trend. Actually, what I might do is move this along a little bit, because we've already seen that element. We're going to try to predict the future, right? So how we're going to do this is, let's take a screenshot of this. So this is a week ago, and bam, right? And then we're going to go all the way back to the oops, I might want to make that full screen. I'm going to go all the way back to day 1, 5-day moving average, sorry, and then a minute updates in between. And let's go. Oops, sorry, I misselected things. But all right, so predicting the future. So going back, that's the data there. That's probably the key elements that we have to look at here. But yeah, so as we know, lowest low here, which is this first point here, and then the second low, which is around about here, second low there, and then we saw our first peak high. First peak high. I'm also going to look at data in terms of numbers, right? So we were around about the under the 3K mark here, and then we climbed all the way up to 3.1, where we saw let's say 3.13, yeah, around about 3.15, where we saw our first level of resistance, or first major resistance. 3.15. Let's see if it's the same. 3.15. Hey, look, 3.15. First major level of resistance, and then we climbed all the way up to 3.250, which we saw our second major level resistance. Oh, hey, look, we're around about 3.250. This is where our second level of major resistance is. So if you are going for swing trades, I would suggest buying it right now. And then you'll see a dip within the market. It will dip to, I think it's around about 3.175. So we're gonna go down around about 60. Yeah, around about $60 here. So it's potentially $60 is still a decent amount of money to potentially make. And like if you make $60 in a day, it's like an hour or two worth of work, you know. And if you set it up correctly, then yeah, you can definitely benefit from it. But I would say the only problem with that is you actually have to watch the market. But if you are someone who's looking to buy, I would suggest buying it down here, and obviously selling at the high peak, because we're going to get another high shortly, because it's going to do an up and down for a little bit. So within the next couple of hours, you're going to see another high peak. I'm assuming that's where I'll be selling one of mine at, I think if you're USD, that's probably the number you're wanting to look to sell at, around about 325 or just over 325. and then buying it under 318, 319, I'd say. Those are probably your numbers. And then waiting for it to skyrocket again and potentially selling at, I would say sell at here is probably the most potential gain that you could do, which is around about 3325. So you're probably selling at 3310 or 3300, which should come, and you should more than be happy to sell pretty much all of your crypto there, because you know then the market's going to start to sort of kind of go on a downhill trend. But yeah, so that's probably the highest peak that we're probably going to get to. We may even break past this point, because that's another thing as well, because remember the market is on an uphill sort of trend as well. But yeah, so what's going to happen right now? So in terms of predictions, the 18th, the 19th, so if we look at here, from the 13th to the 14th, we saw the first sort of big jump, and even on the 14th we started our second sort of jump as well. After the 14th, if we haven't reached our peak, we will start to sort of slowly begin our downhill sort of trend once again. So in this case, the equivalent 14th would be the 21st. So once the market hits 21st, you can potentially expect for it to potentially run into a downhill trend. But as it stands now, I expect it to go up at least another, so if it's at 322, I'm expecting it to go all the way up to another $40, right? 140 bucks, I should say. Yeah, $140 is where I expect it to be at the most. So at least $100 from what it is currently right now. So if you are holding and waiting for the next peak, feel free to do so. You can sell it at the current peak as well. There's no issues in doing that. You will get another dip, which is basically 60 lower than the current, and then you can potentially sell that at the next peak, which will be 60 lower, 70, 100, 130, 130 to 160 high. So all in all, you'd probably be making a gain of around about to just over 200 AUD in just a single day, or within 2 days, which is more than worthwhile. For some people, that's around about like 8 hours of work a day. You know, if you work $20 an hour for 8 hours a day, that's like 160, $25. 8 hours a day, $200, you know, like that's a full day's worth of wage, and that's more than worthwhile for just setting up 2 different sort of trades. But yeah, so I might look at all this data and then I'll set up my exact sort of numbers. If you want to know what my numbers are, I'm more than happy to sort of show you. I might even go for a sort of, for one of my trades at the very least, I might try the sort of short quick trade. The most I'll end up with is probably like $20, I'd say, at the most, because of how low I'm going to be doing that. But nonetheless, if you want to play it safe, then just hold. There's another peak coming, and maybe even higher than what it is. Then we'll start the downhill trend. So the market prediction is by the 21st. If we haven't seen our peak, if we have seen our peak, there might be a second peak that will be coming, but then soon after that, probably best to sort of sell your crypto and just wait for it to sort of drop down, because it's going to be dropping. And from my understanding is it will drop, so after the 14th it will drop. There will be another peak, it looks like, before the 16th, which is the equivalent of our Monday. So 3 days from now, you will get another peak, which will be the 23rd, which you can potentially look to sell from the lowest point there, which would come right after the 15th, which is the equivalent 22nd. So on the 22nd, you have an opportunity to do another quickly sort of trade, but obviously we'll talk about that closer to the date. Hopefully all of that was sort of insightful and educational in that regard. And obviously we're trying to predict the market here. No one can exactly predict it, but the trends are quite similar. And hopefully I'll see